All right. The options expiration date, so expect a ton of volatility in either direction. Remember that volatility works in both directions. Today, Apple and Microsoft are both down in the pre-market, with Apple trading at 165 right now, all the way down to 163 early this morning, and Microsoft currently trading for $284.95, down from yesterday's high at 289, and Apple down from yesterday's high at 168. So both of these ended up getting rejected by the day before's high. So right now it's looking like they're not going to head higher, but Apple does have some support at the 100 moving average or the 200 moving average for the hourly chart based on the last 20 days of trading. And Microsoft, I think, is around the same. They actually ended up cracking below. Luckily for me, I ended up opening a couple of bearish trades for Microsoft and Apple right before the fall at, let's see, it was roughly in this area right here. I got lucky on the timing. Didn't really predict it, but I was trading Microsoft going into their earnings next week on Tuesday, and I took a trade with Apple in sympathy with that. So I just chose the perfect time somehow. But 2 minutes till market open, both of these stocks are down a ton, and I think that this is going to weigh negatively, especially on QQQ, but almost certainly on SPY as well, because these two stocks have led a lot of the market rally year to date. So if these start to pull back, it's going to pull SPY and QQQ down with it. So we'll be watching those couple of names today: Apple, Microsoft, SPY, QQQ. QQQ is at 316 right now, so down more than we're seeing for SPY. Obviously, Apple and Microsoft carry more weight for the NASDAQ top 100 than it does for SPY. I think we had a couple of earnings reports this morning. P&G up a ton, actually, 154. They ended up posting seemingly a good earnings, 137 earnings per share versus I think 131 expected, 132 expected. So not really surprising. P&G basically owns any kind of skincare product, or I don't really know. Like, they own a shit ton. Procter and Gamble. But they benefit a lot from inflation, so it's not really too surprising to see their stock up about $5 at the moment, 5 over 150, about 3% as of right now. I think that it's probably already priced in to some degree, so I would imagine that they would pull back a bit. It was a small beat, but a beat nonetheless. But considering how high they're trading in the yearly range, I think it's more likely to trade neutral than it is to keep pushing up. But that's just my opinion. So, good morning, Kamala. Tesla pop in the morning and then red all day. Let's see. Tesla trading at 164, so it's up just like $1 or $2. So it's not up a ton. You have that resistance at about 165. You're going to have some resistance where you have this low volume range between 166 and 167. More volume between 167 and 169. So yeah, there's a lot of overhead resistance as of right now for Tesla. And yesterday it bled out like 10%. So it wouldn't be too shocking to get a little bit of a rally just because of how much it sold off. But that's not a trade that I would be willing to take because it's volatile in both directions. So Microsoft currently falling down 0.6% now. Apple currently down by 0.7%, but rallying. So again, you have that support level at the 200 moving average on the hourly chart that it's gaining on. But Microsoft usually follows whatever Apple, or Apple follows Microsoft, one of the two. So one of these is probably going to pivot here, I think. But we'll have to watch and see. QQQ is coming down 0.2% as of right now. Let's see, QQQ at 315.60. Apple's probably holding it up a little bit right here. But today you're going to have resistance at about 316.67. We've been at that price level a ton over the last few trading days, so wouldn't be too surprised to see that price level again today. We ended up closing roughly at that price. And then for SPY, your levels for today are 412.30 for resistance right now. I have 416 way up top. And then looking at volume the last couple of days, you're going to have resistance at about 413 to about 414. So somewhere in that range, you might end up getting a sell-off. But I think it's really going to depend on where we get Microsoft and Apple going today. Microsoft's getting a little bit of recovery off the lows at 283.45. Apple is still gaining a lot of buyers right now, trading to 166. So trying to regain all of what it lost overnight. BABA puts are looking juicy. Let's see, BABA. Yeah, down 1.2% to $89, $90 almost as of right now. Put credit spread for PG today. I think Iron Condor would be a good fit, but definitely have some momentum to the upside as of right now, trading at 156. So you're betting against the momentum if you're taking an Iron Condor, but put credit spread could be okay. Maybe assuming, I would say like 150. You're not going to get much credit for it. Maybe like next week or something like that. If you do today's expiration, you're not going to get much credit for that at all. You could be a little bit more risky and do today's expiration assuming above 154. If you want to follow the momentum on that. Hoping for a good day. Yes, sir. All right. Let's check on the two big names. Microsoft's still down, but recovering a bit. Apple is probably getting back to break even, I'm guessing. No, not quite there. Close. It's down 0.6%. I'll put an Apple right here so I can keep a tab on it. Make it a little bit easier for me. Both are down about 0.6%, so roughly the same change from yesterday's close. Microsoft held up a little bit better in the early pre-market, whereas Apple was really getting hammered. I think it was down like 1% or 1.2% at one point. But yeah, both of these are still down 0.7% as of right now, so leading the market to the downside. QQQ trading at 315.75. SPY is currently in the negative barely at 411.80. But yeah, I opened a Microsoft put debit spread assuming 285 next week, and then I opened a Apple put debit spread expiring May 19th, so a month out, assuming below 160. I was going to take on a Microsoft put debit spread assuming below 280 next week after the earnings, but I did not have the cojones to take on that trade. That would be an $8 drop from where it was before I opened it at 288. So that would have been a 2.75% move, where Microsoft doesn't usually trade really big around their earnings. So thinking about a 413 call for SPY. I think it could go either way today. Um, there's options. The monthly options expiration is going to make it volatile in both directions. But I would just follow the momentum that you're seeing for Apple and Microsoft. I think that's going to be your cue for today and where the markets are going to go next. Again, since they led the rally year to date, if these stocks start to get weighed down, it's going to weigh down the rest of the market. So follow those two names, see where they're going. If they do end up recovering like Apple is as of right now, then yeah, that 413 call could be a good idea. But if Apple keeps on plunging like we're seeing for Microsoft, then I would probably be bearish for today. Do I like Neo? Not a huge fan of Neo. I think that they're trying to tap into a market that's very difficult. So they're kind of like I would say, the Chinese version of Rivian. No, not Rivian, sorry. Lucid. So they're this premium electric vehicle brand. And the premium brands right now aren't doing very well because people can't really afford it, even in the Chinese economy. Like, they're struggling just as much as the U.S. economy is right now. They're actually cutting rates and doing like sort of QE in order to boost their economy right now. So I think that Neo is in a very troublesome spot given that their economy is kind of in shambles right now, and this is a luxury priced vehicle. They're going to have to keep lowering their margins. I don't think that they had positive vehicle margins to begin with. So they're going to take on larger and larger losses. They're probably going to continue to sell less vehicles. So in my opinion, I think that Neo, as of right now, until the Chinese economy starts to, boom again, they're in trouble. So for me, I wouldn't be an investor in Neo long term. All right, Microsoft is recovering, only down 0.3% now to 285.20. Kind of just chopping around at the moment. Same for Apple. Apple more bullish than Microsoft. I think I'm going to take profits on my QQQ call credit spread. Just in case that one starts turning around on me. I'd rather take profits than risk any losses. If Apple and Microsoft going up, that's going to send QQQ up especially. And QQQ is trading at 316 right now. Still bullish at the moment, above 50 RSI. So better opportunity to close out while I'm ahead. Ooh, the bid-ask spread on these is terrible. 31 and 34 cents. I opened it at 41 cents a pop. Maybe I can get a little bit cheaper if I can wait it out to 50 RSI or so. I opened 10 of them at 41. The ask is 35. So it'd be about $60 profit. I want to get a little bit cheaper, at least 34 cents if I can, but momentum is starting to move up with Apple only down 0.3% for right now. Yeah, Apple is definitely looking the most bullish between Apple and Microsoft. 73 RSI, so people buying the dip on Apple for sure right now. For some reason, not wanting to buy the dip on Microsoft, though. All right, I got out of those QQQ call credit spreads. QQQ is still below 316, so not really getting much love out of Apple rallying right now. But let's see. Closing options alert. Premium just took profits on the QQQ 318, 319 strike prices. Call credit spread expiring next week, and my expiration was the 26th at 35 each. But Microsoft, yeah, not really feeling the same love that Apple is getting with everybody buying the dip. And that could also be because Apple's earnings is so much later than Microsoft. Microsoft is reporting next week. Apple isn't reporting until May 4th. So there's a lot more time for Apple to stage a recovery here. But my guess is that if Microsoft reports bad earnings, it's going to bring Apple down. So it's a sympathy trade with one another and trying to take advantage of both of them falling. Did you have bearish positions on Apple and Microsoft? Yes, I did. Bearish positions on both of them with Microsoft put debit spread assuming under 285 next Friday, 428 expiration. And then Apple put debit spread assuming below 160 next month on April 19th. So those are my two positions that I opened yesterday, right before we saw the free fall at about 2 p.m. Lucky timing on my behalf, but definitely got to take advantage of that drop. All right, looks like we're getting rejected at almost break even for Apple. Let's see, break even was close of yesterday, 166.85, and we ended up tagging a high of 166.45. 166.65. So about a 20-cent gap that it left right there. And now QQQ is actually still trading flat even with Apple pulling back right there. But if that's the top for Apple today, expect to pull back for QQQ. SPY still hanging up there though. All right, let me type in the trade that I closed this morning. It was a QQQ call credit spread. Still had a few days until expiration. Actually, it was 319, 320 strike prices, so I probably might have been able to hold those. But I closed them at 35. Yeah, 319, 320 strike prices. And that ended up being $60 of profits. Type these in the wrong place. 60 in profit for that trade. And now we keep on watching Microsoft and Apple. So now I don't have to worry about QQQ going one direction or the other. Just have to keep my eyes on these two names. Microsoft definitely got a solid bounce off the low at the pre-market low. So this might end up staging a recovery back to break even, which was 286.50. We have PMI coming out right now. Coming in at, let's see, global composite PMI 53.5 versus 52.8 expected, so slightly better than expectations for global composite. Manufacturing PMI worse than, actually better than expected, 50.4 versus 49.2 last time and 49 estimated. And services PMI came in still sticky at 53.7 versus 51.5 expected. So this is a pretty good PMI report. We might get a little bit of a rally here for SPY, currently trading at 412. So after this PMI report, if we get a rally for Microsoft, Apple, yeah, I might be able to see this going back to 413. Tesla's actually going negative 0.4% as of right now, so not really much change for it. We're getting some changes in the yields with the 10-year currently at 3.53 after the PMI report. This is up from 3.50, so it ended up catching some supports at 3.5. Now it's at 3.54. So whenever yields are going up, usually tech will pull back. So that's probably why you're getting a knee-jerk reaction in a further downfall for Microsoft and Apple as of right now. Apple down 0.7%, Microsoft down 0.5%. My put debit spreads are already up 100 at the moment, about 20%. Definitely got lucky with the timing on it, but I think that there's still more profits to make after the earnings. I might hold one of them and then close the other, but yeah, I really wish I had gone with the 285, 280 strike prices instead of 290, 285. Wish I would have been a little bit more lucrative with that trade, but did not want to take on the risk. I took on the risk for Apple instead. How to use the VIX to determine call spread for the day. Wait, is Amazon good before earnings next week? Amazon hasn't seen as much of a rally as Apple and Microsoft year to date, right? So that does give them a little more space to go up. But at the same time, Amazon is already projected to be making, I forget how much, like $4 billion of net income. This is a $1 trillion company, so this is trading at like 250, or not net income, but cash flow. So it's trading at like 250 times cash flow. So it's very overvalued, but they basically already said that we're overvalued, right? So that's why their stock is only up from 81 to 105, or about 25%. Whereas if you're looking at Apple year to date, this is up from 124 to 165, 40 over 120. It's about 30%. And Microsoft, on the other hand, that is not what I wanted. Microsoft, on the other hand, is up about 220 to 280, so $60 over 220, about 27%. So Amazon hasn't gotten as much love as the other mega cap names, but it's because they already said that they're going to have poor earnings for this year. So it's already priced in to some degree. And I would probably want to take an iron condor for it just because it is already priced in. I would probably just assume that it's going to trade pretty flat. Microsoft, on the other hand, I think could see a pretty sizable drop. And then Apple, they're not reporting till May 4th, but I think that Apple is going to trade with Microsoft. So Amazon, I would be neutral on. Microsoft, I would be bearish on. And then Apple, also bearish on. But that's later on. Their earnings is 2 weeks away. So please let there be one decent red day. One can only hope, right? How to use the VIX to determine put or call spread for the day. So the VIX is a measure of volatility, forward volatility. An estimate of the next 30-day volatility based on options, 30-day options, 30-day expiration. I cannot speak. 30 days to expiration options. So if people are buying more puts for the next 30 days, then the VIX goes up. If people are buying more calls, the VIX usually comes down. There's less fear. So whenever the VIX is low, generally below 20, at least over the last year, then it's better to be in bullish positions in the short term, but bearish positions in the long term, because right now the VIX is at 18 and the average for it for the past year has been like 24. So this usually reverts back to the mean, which would mean $7 from 17, a 41% pop for the VIX. So short term, I think you could trade put credit spreads or call debit spreads. Long term, I would probably take the opposite trades, call credit spreads and put debit spreads. Yeah, no problem, Kamala. QQQ is down to 315, down 0.35%. Again, today is options expiration day, monthly options expiration, so expect a lot of volatility in both directions. I think the maximum pain point for QQQ is 310, if I remember correctly, so another $5 down we could see if the market makers want to punish everybody. That would be pretty chaotic to see the markets down that much, but possible, given how many options are expiring today. And then for SPY, the maximum pain point for the day is $405, down 6% or 1.5% from where it's trading right now. And you can get this data from maximumpain.com, options, SPY. Today's expiration, again, maximum pain for SPY, 405. For QQQ, this is 310. You could also do it on individual stocks. I'm not sure how reliable it is for those, but Apple, your maximum pain point is down to 160. That would be a sizable drop for Apple. And then Microsoft, your maximum pain point for the day is 270. Right now it's trading at 285. So the likelihood of reaching maximum pain on Microsoft is pretty low, just given that it's trading so much higher. Apple, on the other hand, I mean, it's trading at 165 right now, so a $5 drop isn't out of the cards entirely, but that would be a 2% drop for Apple in one day. So that would be pretty volatile for Apple. We're getting really close to QQQ at 313, the infamous support level that it keeps bouncing at. You got 314 right below us, currently trading at 314.90. So watch out for those two price levels. Those have been very critical for the past month. We've been trading in this range, 314 to 319, for, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. This will be the 12th trading day in a row if we end up above $314. So definitely an important level to watch for today. And then again, your maximum pain point is 310. So if we do start selling below 314, you could be seeing 310 pretty quick. How does SPIO do over the weekend? The possibility of dropping $5 over the weekend. Usually SPY has some pretty decent gaps over the weekend if there's any news, but if there's no news, then it usually doesn't move much. Usually it's like geopolitical news, like something with Russia or some more China news, something like that. Usually ends up moving the markets in one direction or the other. So watch out for that over the weekend. But you're going to see a pretty significant move over the next couple of weeks, I'm assuming, just because of the range that we've been in for so long. I think that we're going to have some pretty significant moves in one direction or the other. But thinking of opening a put debit spread for QQQ, momentum is definitely down today. Don't want to spend a ton on it just because I do think that there's going to be a lot of support at 313. But if we can manage to close below that, that could make us a decent profit. Right now they're going for 33. But again, you're going to have a lot of support coming in at 313, 314. So I don't want to spend a lot on this trade. They're already going up a ton in value. All right, I got them at $34 a piece, assuming QQQ below 313 today. Day trade premium. Just opened a new QQQ put debit spread expiring 4/21 at 34 each. Strike prices were 313, 314. That is not the right screenshot at all. What the heck? All right. Let me change this. Get rid of this screenshot because that is not the right one. Currently trading at 314.45, so we're getting close to the 314 level again. There's going to be a lot of support between 314 and 313, but leaders of the market on the downside right now are Apple and Microsoft. So if these keep on falling today, I'm going to see a lot of people selling out of QQQ with that. IWM trading flat. Yeah, everything's been trading flat this week for the most part. So if we finally get some moves, that would definitely be interesting. With QQQ below 314, that would definitely be unexpected. But because it is unexpected, you get a lot of profit if it does happen. Currently trading at 314.22, so selling off pretty quick here. Apple's still trading at about 165, so it's still trying to hold that support. And Microsoft down 0.83%, trying to hold the lows at 283. What is SPY set up to do today? Probably going to drop because of Apple and Microsoft. If you're super bearish on it, I would say like another 1% down, or like 406 or so, in like worst case scenario. But granted, that is worst case scenario for SPY. So you won't spend a lot on the trade, but there's a lot of profits to make if it does play out. But like I was saying, the maximum pain point for SPY is at 405. We're $10 or we're $5 above that, so it's like 1.25%. It's unlikely that we would reach that, but it can happen, just because of how many options are expiring today with a monthly expiration. There could be a push towards that price. Doesn't mean that it has to hit it, but I would suggest that we would go lower from where we're trading right now. You're going to have some supports at 410 and then 314 and 313 for QQQ, so watch out for that. That could be a possible pivot point for us. Getting very close to it for QQQ. All right, we did get some support roughly at 314 so far for QQQ, so we'll see if we can either reverse that move to the downside or if we end up holding that support at 314 or not. Lots of selling pressure, mostly coming from the two big names. Any chance Tesla sees any recovery anytime soon? Let's see, Tesla's at 162, so basically breaking even from yesterday's close when it was down about 10% yesterday. I think that you could maybe stage a recovery back to like 167, maybe 170, possibly. Timing on that, not too sure of. I would say maybe in the next... Well, it's hard to say in the next week just because of the other tech earnings that are coming out. But maybe before big tech reports next week on Tuesday. So maybe you could get back to 170 on Monday or early Tuesday, in my best guess, if we do see a recovery for Tesla. Yeah, QQQ still got that support at 314 right now. Gonna have some resistance slightly over top at 314.75 or so. But yeah, Apple down 1% this morning. Microsoft down 0.8% this morning. Not looking pretty. Not looking pretty at all there. All right, we're trading close to that resistance at 314.75 for QQQ. So if we get rejected, it would be around here. If that momentum is still down. Also watch for about 50 RSI. That would be a switch in momentum to the upside. Right now we're at 37 RSI, so relatively weak. And then above 50 would be starting to strengthen. All right, QQQ almost back to 315 now, so broke that resistance at 314.75. Gonna have some volume coming in right above that. My options are down about $30 after spending $150, so about 20% for right now. Apple struggling at that 165 mark. but that could be some support if it does start going above that. Tesla plays will be good. Don't like Tesla because it can hone to 40. Tesla, yeah, I think short term, yes. Tesla trades would be good to go bullish on. Early next week, I would close out of them. But if you're holding those for the next couple weeks for tech earnings, probably not going to be so hot. Next 2 to 3 weeks of tech earnings is going to be very, very volatile, I think. All right, QQQ only down 0.4% to 315.09 now. So definitely got a good bounce there. 44 RSI, so it's starting to strengthen up, but still not at 50 yet. Today is monthly options expiration, so expect a lot of volatility in both directions. They're going to try to get everybody out of the puts, get everybody out of the calls, and try to get as many options to zero as they can. Apple sitting just above 165 right now. I think I'm just going to hold the put debit spreads on QQQ until Apple or Microsoft stage a recovery. But you are seeing some love in Tesla right now, up 0.75%. So that's leading part of the QQQ rally. Other names, Meta, still down 1.3%. So definitely off of its high from yesterday. Nvidia down 0.73%. So definitely down. So still a lot of selling pressure in QQQ, I think. Will SPY run like it did yesterday and shoot up, then shoot back down? It could. Anything is possible. There's going to be, like I said, there's going to be a lot of volatility in both directions. So you might end up coming back to that 412.30 support or resistance and then end up flushing back to the lows and below at the end of the day. Anything is possible with the monthly options expiration. They will try to get as many people out of the options as possible by making it fluctuate a ton. Meanwhile, the VIX is only 17, so this intraday volatility doesn't really impact the VIX too much, down 0.5% as of right now. VIX has been coming up on resistance at about 1750 or so, maybe 1760. So watch for a break of that level for the VIX. It's just been kind of ranging between low 16s and mid 17s for the last couple of trading days. So this starts to make a move to the upside. You'll definitely see some move down for VIX or for SPY. Apple solidly above 165 now, 165.15. I think if it can recover to about 165.50 or so, then that's enough of a recovery to get QQQ out of the dumps today. The momentum is starting to be slightly positive at 53 RSI for the moment. So they're trying to buy the dip on Apple right now. QQQ back to 315.50 now. And definitely shooting up here. All right, I think I'm going to take profits on Apple and then cut losses on QQQ. It should just about balance out those two trades. Unless, like you said, we do get a flush lower at the end of the day. Possible. But following momentum, I would say Apple is going up right now. QQQ is going to stage a recovery with Apple. The other big names, hard to say where they're going to go. But Apple definitely leading the recovery for right now. I guess I'm not that far off with my strike price at 314 on QQQ, so I could hold it into the volatility, but yeah, you definitely got a lot of support there with the low in at 314.10. Okay. 316 for QQQ now. 165.60 for Apple. It's definitely a good recovery going on. So looking more like these QQQ put debit spreads are going to expire worthless. Going for 12 cents at the moment. Might be able to get out if I'm lucky at 15, but probably not with this trading action right now. Very bullish for Apple, very bullish for QQQ in this short time frame. It's a very violent rally just after a very violent sell-off. But definitely starting to look like a V-shaped recovery. SPY's back to break even. QQQ only down 0.13% now. And Apple back below 165.50. So just kind of ranging in a very, very large range. Don't know how to play this market anymore. Just got to play the ranges. That's the best way to do it. I mean, assuming that QQQ would have held the 314, the bottom end of the range that it's been in for the past 2 weeks, would have been a perfect trade when I was trading close to it. But it did look like it was going to fall through with that, 20-minute drop that we had. But you had a lot of buyers stepping in right above 314. Next support is going to be about 315 and then 315.70 if it does manage to pull back here again. So I would probably be watching 316.67 to the upside for QQQ right now. 316.67. This has been a pretty pivotal point for QQQ. And then to the downside, I would be watching 315 down to about 314.70 or so. This range. I'll call it 314.65. At or below that mark. So watch for these two price levels today. And then 314, 313. Obviously, that would be super negative for QQQ. Coming back to the morning highs right now. Apple's not even close to that, though. Apple was at 166. They're only at 165.40 now. So it's not Apple and Microsoft that are leading the QQQ rally. Probably Tesla at 0.5%. What other names would I be looking at? Meta, Microsoft. We already looked at that. Tesla. Amazon. I always forget about Amazon. Amazon's actually up 2% today. So that's where you're getting a little bit of a rally for QQQ right now. Surprised that people would be going bullish on Amazon ahead of their earnings. But like I was saying earlier, Amazon is already kind of priced in that they'll do bad for earnings. So seeing a little bit of a rally ahead of it wouldn't be too shocking. And my guess, we probably trade flat for Amazon on earnings. right, still getting some moves up for Apple. Resistance at about 165.80. So keep watching those two. And then Amazon is leading the rally as of right now. So QQQ is breaking even for the moment. IWM breaking even. SPY slightly positive, 0.1%. And the Dow up 0.2% as for right now. But QQQ hasn't quite reached that 316.67 mark that I'm watching for. It did breach the morning highs slightly at 316.30. Went all the way up to 316.50, but ended up selling off in this 5-minute candle. Still could be some buying pressure, but really going to depend on where we see Amazon, Apple, and Microsoft headed next. Both Microsoft and Apple seem to be topping. I think I'm going to add to this position, assuming this could be the top here for QQQ. Just a small add to the position, $50. Added 4 more QQQ put debit spreads expiring today, 421 at only 14 each. So I brought my average cost down to 25 cents. So if we do end up flushing down, thanks to Apple and Microsoft pulling back from the highs, and if we do see, say, 314.65, that would probably be maybe break even, maybe a little bit more. Let's see. Last time they were going for 24 cents was at 10.10, where SPY was trading at between 314.80 and 315. So if we manage back down to this low volume levels under about 315.20, then that might end up turning profits. So I'll move this bar up to, let's see, 314. Is it 314.95? Yeah, somewhere around there. Well, I tried to do 314.95, but I got 314.96. Let's check on Amazon, the leader for today's QQQ rally. Pulling back from its highs at 106 as of right now. Still a lot of bullish momentum on QQQ. So if you're trading with momentum, I would be betting to the upside. But my guess with Apple and Microsoft pulling back, that's going to kill the momentum. Again, watch for about 315 for QQQ. That could spark some volatility to the downside again. Led by Apple and Microsoft and Amazon pulling back. Let's see, SPY is at 412, so back to break even. So we're just kind of getting this chop early morning for the first hour of trading so far. Very large chop, but chop nonetheless. Let's add Amazon to the list here for stocks to watch. At 106, so still holding up. But Apple and Microsoft not getting that same love as Amazon this morning. Let me add this position to my drive, so I make sure to log it for April. Opening and closing it today. QQQ, put debit spread, bear strategy, expiring today. Strike prices were 314 long, 313 short. 9 of them that I got at 24 average. Right now they're going for 13, so down about roughly 100, 109. And Amazon just does not want to quit. But yeah, I'm going to wait till QQQ either goes above 316.67 to the top or 314.95 below, and then probably close out of that trade then. And that's all the trades I got for y'all today, and I'll catch y'all on Monday at 9:30. See you, everybody.